Hello, and welcome to this session, which is all about inner beliefs and inner critic and getting over those negative self-beliefs. So with me is Juanita Dellaway. And Juanita, you're a rapid transformational therapist. That's right, isn't it?
I am, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And okay, so before we sort of get into talking about the things that can hold you back, tell me a little bit about yourself and how you ended up here.
So I did work in corporate. I worked in IT healthcare, and I got made redundant, lost my job. That was the second time in my life that had happened, and made a complete change in my life and said, okay, this is, I don't want to stay in that direction anymore, and I want to move out and do something I've always wanted to do, which is help people understand their own minds and help people overcome their own anxiety. So I trained as a rapid transformational therapist, and I just kind of slotted into working with people that are struggling, and it's affecting their working life and their home life. So I just kind of slipped into that, really, because it was my background. Yeah, and I love it. Really enjoy it. Yeah, and love helping people transform their own minds. It's all about giving people the tools.
Okay, so I mean, let's talk quite frankly actually about where a lot of people are right now. So they've been made redundant, or maybe they are self-employed and their work has dried up. And I mean, at the best of times, many of us suffer from, negative self-talk and inner critic and all that sort of stuff that can hold you back. Obviously, in these difficult times, those sort of things can go into overdrive, can't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I think even if you don't have underlying inner critic, those beliefs, particularly, I've just had a few friends actually. They've just gone through the same process in the same company, and some of them are really happy that they got made redundant, but others are struggling with what is it I did wrong? Did I do anything wrong? What if the next company doesn't recognize my skills? And those are new for these people. They've not felt these before. And I think some of them are this feeling of anxiety and dread, I suppose, in some is quite new to them. So I think it depends on what background you come from as to what it does to you. And also if you're the main breadwinner as well.
Yeah.
All those financial worries. What if I don't get another job? And then that's when the spiral of negative thinking comes in. And it can stop you from even going for a job. Am I worth applying for this job that has got X amount of salary attached to it? Or I don't perhaps fit all the criteria of that job. And it can stop you doing that. And really, why wouldn't you do it? Why wouldn't you go for it? And it's all about telling our own minds the truth. The truth is that we are capable of doing much more than we think. So
I find a lot of it tied into people's identities as well, and that their past identity, a recent past identity, has been X, Y, Z, and then suddenly that's taken away, and it's just bringing up loads of things to the surface.
Absolutely. And it is. I used to be a nurse, and I think when I left nursing, there was that. I didn't just leave nursing as a job. I left nursing as an identity, and I think a lot of people, certainly when I changed from being corporate to being self-employed, I had to find my own new identity. And what was I? What did I call myself? How do I refer to myself? And I think a lot of people struggle, particularly if you've been high up in a company, if you've been CEO or chief officer, particularly if you've been there, so you're used to dealing with a lot of high-powered meetings, and then you go to nothing.
Yeah.
To nothing.
Yeah, wandering around the house in your PJs.
Exactly. It's like, wow, okay. And I think so many people don't realise how much we associate our identity. And then it's like, well, what am I if I'm not a nurse, if I'm not chief operating officer, if I'm not chief information officer, what am I? I think from my own experience and my clients' experience, people struggle. with finding that new identity. Yeah, it's a big one. I don't think people expect, actually.
No, I don't know, from I have been there, not so much in a work context, but after my divorce, it was like, who am I? I remember just walking down the road one day and thinking, I'm not even sure who I am.
Yeah.
Which was actually, I mean, it was a bit sort of anxiety ridden, but there was a tinge of excitement to it, because if you don't know who you are, like there is a possibility you could be anybody.
Definitely.
Yeah,
definitely. I've got one of my friends who's been made redundant. She loves the fact that she's been made redundant because she wasn't fulfilled in what she was doing within the company, and it was the push she needed. So she's actually really excited to be able to move on to new things. And now she's actually retraining as a coach, which she was in the same industry as me. So I think some people get really excited, but others it fills with dread. And I think what I'm seeing is that's the majority of people, because you don't know what's out there. And then that's when the whole spiral, and it is like a spiral because you can't get yourself out of it. And so that's why I'm helping people, is to actually, the truth is, yes, this is anxiety making. Yes, you're feeling it in your body, but actually there is a lot to look forward to. And there's a lot to be, to praise yourself for. Don't keep beating yourself up.
So where would you advise someone to start if someone's feeling this? I mean, I like to call it sort of the washing machine thinking. You just think the same thing over and over again. If somebody's stuck there and they're feeling, I don't know, I'm a bit worthless, feeling worthless. What's the point of applying for this job when, I'm going to get ghosted? Well, how can somebody just get out of that?
I think in the first instance, when those thoughts happen, you can have this whole bodily reaction, and that's when you go into that fight or flight. That immediate reaction is to breathe through it. I found a lot of my own anxieties is to breathe through it, try and come out the other side of that immediate. And then if you need help, is seek help. It doesn't matter who you seek help from, if it's a counsellor or if it's a rapid transformational therapist or if it's a friend, just go and talk to somebody. Because people, I think even though we're very open with mental health, people still don't talk about the nitty gritty of what's actually going on in their head. And so it's talk to people and go and find some help in stopping that thought. The thought isn't real. I'm not good enough to apply for this job isn't real. It's a belief you made somewhere. So it's not real. So find out where you made that belief and change that belief, because it's not true. I used to believe I was stupid. Well, I'm not stupid. And I had to change my own thinking. So I think, it's that very first, freeze, try and breathe through it. Exercise, definitely. For me, it was yoga and swimming. And then go and find some help, whatever that help looks like. If you're severely depressed, then you may need longer with somebody. But if it's just those anxieties and that lack of confidence, get some help. There's no shame in getting help at all. There's no shame. And we don't always have the answers.
No. So, I mean, day to day, you've mentioned things like breathe in to take you out of that immediate reaction. And you might feel like that just after you've been made redundant, but you might feel like that at various intervals after, because these things sometimes jump out at you. You mentioned, exercise, yoga, talking to a friend, going to a therapist or somebody like you. Any other tips, sort of day-to-day wise?
I do. I have lots of other tips. Networking, even if you don't do it for the way networking works, if you don't do it from a structure perspective, go out. LinkedIn locals, I've discovered, they are brilliant just to keep in contact with professional people, just to keep your mind thinking along those lines. And it's not just all about work. LinkedIn locals definitely about social. And if you just go for the social aspect of it, keep in touch with people. And people are feeling the same with you. Facebook groups are good if you can find the right one. If you can find supportive ones, not necessarily the ones that are very down. but ones that build you up and give you support. Have a structure, have your daily structure. Certainly when I started working for myself, I kept the same work ethic I've always had. I'm up, I'm dressed, I've had my breakfast, I've got my cup of tea, I'm not in pajamas, and I'm at my desk.
Yeah.
And it's to keep that structure, because eventually you're going to go back to work, you're going to find a job, and it'll be harder for you if you haven't already kept that nice structure. And believe that one day this is going to be you. You are going to be back in the working day, back in that structure of the day. Definitely keep a structure. Don't sit in your PJs and watch daytime telly.
Oh, daytime television is the start of a slippery slope, yeah.
It's a definite slippery slope. Yeah. Don't go down that road, even if you're tempted, or if you do, take a holiday, take a day off. Treat it like it's work. It's work. You are working. You're looking for another job, or you're working on your mind, or you're getting yourself in a place where, when that opportunity comes along, you go for it. Definitely don't see the daytime TV. That's just. So yeah, for me, I'm keeping in contact with people. I'm meeting new people. It's a big world out there, and I think one of the good sides of lockdown, if there are any, is that Zoom and other methods of interacting with people gives you the opportunity to join groups that are worldwide.
Yeah.
Which we didn't have before.
Yeah. Without getting onto the train or the tube or anything. Yeah,
you didn't talk to people, did you? You got on the bus and think,
yeah,
hey, I'm not going to talk to that person. But now there's so much out there where people are connecting. And I've worked with some people from Melbourne in Australia, and I met through networking and talking to people. It was just a really simple, like a coffee chat. And I never would have got to meet her if we hadn't have moved into technology. So it's hard. I'm not saying it's easy. If you can just take that one step at a time, look on the internet for free network groups, online network groups. For lots of, for the guys, there's lots of male chat going on, a lot. So go and speak to them. There's I think it's called Andy Man's Club. They're on Twitter, and they're all about meeting, and they're online now as well. And they just talk about stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, just keep one step.
Yeah. So a lot of this is really just it's about, but it's interrupting those thoughts, isn't it? And putting yourself in a different place.
Absolutely. Yeah. Stop them. Yeah. Don't engage with them.
Yeah.
Definitely don't engage with them.
Okay, so we've disengaged. Yeah. And maybe we're feeling like, okay, let me tackle this voice that keeps coming back. Yeah. Any thoughts on how one might go around that?
Yeah, that's so. There's lots of rules of the mind, and one of them is that your mind does what it thinks you want it to do. So if you're always telling your mind that I'm not good enough, or interviews scare me, your mind is going to move you away from those situations. It's going to move you away from what it considers pain.
Yeah.
Even though we've evolved, our brains are still, okay, hang on a minute. If I go for an interview or I apply for a job that I don't think I'm worth, that's going to cause anxiety. And then your brain is going to go, right, okay, I need to get away from this. So getting on top of those thoughts, however you do it, if you sit down and tell yourself the positive to the negative. So I'm not good enough to go for a job. I did actually go for a job I wasn't completely qualified for. And I was down to the last 2 people. That's because I believed in myself, that even though I didn't have one of those, it was actually a degree in something and I didn't have it. So I went for it. And I actually got down to the last 2 people out of, I think, about 40 people.
Yeah.
So because
there's another message there, isn't there? Don't take everything they say in job ads as
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it was a scary moment when I did it, but the positive was that I got to experience another interview situation, and you know, I was like, yes, second, two people.
Yeah.
So yeah, break those thoughts. Don't engage in them. And the rules of the mind will, you know, if it's something your mind perceives that's painful, it's going to move you away. So then you're never going to do it. So the more you move.
How do you make it seem attractive?
How do you make it seem? It's all about mind work. Is that so? If I go for this interview, write down on a piece of paper, what's the worst that can happen to you? The worst that can happen is you don't get the job. Well, you haven't got the job in the first place. You haven't got the job. So the positive in that is you would have got experience of filling out an application form, as daft as that sounds, of speaking to somebody on the telephone. You might have had a first interview on the telephone, or you're interacting with them, and you may well have got to interview. So those are all the positives that are going to keep moving you forward.
Yeah.
And whilst they're little, the little steps will keep moving you forward. And I'm a great visual person, I think, in pictures. That's not always a great thing. But also visualize. Your mind thinks in pictures. Our minds think in pictures. So if you visualize what you want, you might want more zeros in your bank account. You might want a new car. You might want a new relationship, or you might want to buy your partner a gift. Visualize what it is that you want, because then you're telling your mind in great big pictures what it is you want. And that's better than what it is that's making you fear. And from the work that I do is get to the root of why are you thinking like that? Why are you thinking that if I go for this interview, I might die? Because that's what your body's telling you. Your body's telling you, run away, run away. So
yeah, and quite often I find it's with, you know, people have been told something by a teacher at school, or just something, you know, silly like that. But often the teacher doesn't even know them well.
No.
And they're holding it with them for the rest of their lives.
Yeah. And when we're children, we form these beliefs, don't we? We form, you know, if a teacher tells you, oh, stop, this is stupid. You know, if you're like tiny or 6 or 7, you'll think, oh, my teacher thinks I'm stupid. And then that goes with you.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right. Just some things that you don't even think have had an effect on you, most definitely have had an effect on you. And that's why I like what I do, because there's always a reason. There's always a reason you are scared to go for an interview, or scared to meet people, or scared to leave the job that isn't fulfilling. There's always a reason behind it, and most of the time it's not real. They're not real.
It's fear of something, fear of what people might think, fear of change. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. I suppose there is something to be said for the comfort zone thing here, isn't there? Or said about it rather, not for it. In that, you know, some of these things that, may be quite scary. Perhaps there is almost like a nudging closer to it and out of your comfort zone, rather than going straight for it straight away.
It's because our minds like what's familiar, and it's that the same evolutionary thing. You know, if we know the familiar, we're going to keep safe. We're in our tribe, it's familiar. Don't step outside of our tribe, because the saber-toothed tiger might get you. That's a really popular saying at the moment.
It is. Yeah.
Saber-toothed tigers are around a lot, I've noticed. And I haven't personally seen one. But it's because of that. So if you move, you're right. If you just take that tiny step to get out of what is familiar, you make what wasn't familiar, and then that's your new normal.
Yeah.
Sounds easy.
Yeah, I find also it works well. Achievement lists.
Achievement lists. Yeah. Oh, tell me about those.
So, you know, we all know about gratitude lists, don't we? Things things that we've achieved, and actually doing it every day. And it may not be, you know, I did 10 job applications today, but it could be, I kept cool while my child was annoying the hell out of me, or, you know, I cooked some, you know, great steak and chips, or, you know, on any level. But I think that things like that really do boost you up.
Definitely. And I think I don't know if we've changed because of lockdown, but I think as a society, we're so focused on the big things, you know, like I've got my new house, or I've got my new car,
Yeah.
or I bought a Gucci handbag. And actually, to just say the small things matter. You know, I got outside, I went for a walk. I think you're absolutely right. The small thing, and it just builds. It builds confidence. Yeah, the little things. That's a great achievement list. I might steal that one if that's okay.
Please do. More people that do it, the better, I believe. Yeah.
I'm all up for lists. I love lists.
Yeah. Well, it's been great talking to you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. So lots of ideas there for people to put into practice.
Yeah.
And I
Don't
think
give up.
Don't give up. You don't need to be isolated. You can connect with people. Yeah. Brilliant. Well, all Juanita's details are going to be below the video, and you can link with her on LinkedIn. And yeah, please get in touch with her if you'd like to follow up. Brilliant. Thank you.